I'm talking to Kath Mazzella today. Kath is a wife, a mother of three. She has four sisters, a grandmother, four granddaughters. Kath is an international speaker. Today she's just going to have a chat to us about her journey and what made her start. So Kath, can you tell me what inspired you to begin all of this?
Well, I was just a working mother with three children and going on about my business, and then I had an abnormal pap smear. So I went off, had my cervix lasered as I was told to do, and I thought, what was that all about? And so I just went on about my business. And then 18 months later, I found a lump in my vulva, and I went to two GPs and two gynecologists who said it was common to have lumps there, not to worry about it. In the end, my mother said to me, Kath, it's not normal to have lumps anywhere in the body without checking on it. And I thought, Mum, what would you know, opposed to four doctors? And but then it kept playing in my mind. And so I asked for the lump to be removed, and I was telephoned by the last doctor to say, oh, I'm sorry, Kath, that was cancer, and you need to see a gynecologist, oncologist. And I want women to know that such a person exists, that they are gynecological cancer experts. And if you are not confident with the result that you've been given, you keep searching. So consequently, I had to go into hospital and have my clitoris, vulva and lymph glands removed. Then I was sent home and went through the trauma of it all. And then I thought, what just happened to me, and why did it happen? My family went on about their business, and there was me, myself, and I. I had to sort out what this was all about, but I had to know myself as a woman, as a person in this world without a clitoris, vulva, and lymph glands, and what did it all mean? And then I discovered that even in the diagrams about reproductive health, there was the ovaries, the cervix, the uterus, the vagina, cut off at the bottom, no vulva. I thought, but where do you learn about the vulva if the vulva is not there? And then I just started to discover that the vulva is seen as pornographic. But really, I've discovered that the vulva is not necessarily pornographic. The vulva is a very powerful part of our body. But I want to get the message across. What have we done to the vulva? What have we done to the vulva? Which, and that was my mission in life, to find, why do we call a vulva a vagina? And then I discovered the word pudendum in the dictionary, which gave me an answer. It said, the Latin version of that word says, female genitalia, one who should and ought to be ashamed, the shameful part. And so therefore I thought I had to be ashamed, and I thought, what do I need to be ashamed of? Tell me so I can understand. I went off to women's organisations, and I was pretty much ostracised, and I thought I felt so lonely and sad. So I placed an ad in the Woman's Day in the Can We Help You line section, and I cannot tell you the response of these women who, some for 30 years, had had their clitoris and vulva removed, and they just suffered in silence. And I just wasn't of that nature just to sit there and put up with it like the rest of the women. And so I went back to the women's groups and I said, there's all these stories, and there's, but anyhow, so while during my research, I went back to the doctors and had a look at my medical records, where it said, when I had my abnormal pap smear, it said that I'd had human papillomavirus. And I said, well, what's the human papillomavirus? And it was that point after I had my genitals removed that I was told I had the human papillomavirus. I thought, and they told me that it was a sexually transmitted infection. And I thought, this is not happening, that you knew that I had a sexually transmitted infection. You just told me it was an abnormal pap smear, and that I've got my genitals removed, and some women are dying because they're not being told about this sexually transmitted infection. Hello? Is something not right? And I just thought, what's wrong with me that I don't understand, like the rest of the women who know this happens but don't talk about it? So I went to psychiatrists and psychologists, and, I still could not find the answer. So consequently, I travelled around Australia to meet up with these women, and I saw how they just put up with this stuff. So I decided to form GAIN, a support network for women. Now, prior to that, I found another woman who had experienced the same, and the connection between her and myself was, I can't tell you, but one doctor said to me that they don't connect women up because it would be too depressing. Well, you see, that is a male mindset, and a female mindset is we share and we learn from each other and we heal from the sharing. But because it's a male-orientated business, that is the way we deal with things, and that has to change. And the only way I could see that change is through having a support network. And so after I had all this information, I formed the Gynecological Awareness Information Network. I established a National Gynecological Awareness Day, and I have declared an International Gynecological Awareness Day, as small as it may be. Through our non-profit organisation, we lobbied the government with a petition, and I went over to Canberra and sat around talking about all these bits, and from that they had a Senate inquiry, and from that a National Gynecological Cancer Centre is being established. So it's fantastic that we have a voice, but my heart still lies in the women on the ground level, that we must talk about these things. It's okay to have it on the shelves and behind the doors, but I'm saying let's open the doors.
Yeah.
Okay, next question.
So, what have you found to be your biggest challenge so far, and how did you overcome it?
My biggest challenge is still getting women to understand the importance of speaking out about these things, because by speaking out you can have more research and funding. So my biggest challenge I wasn't a crazy woman.
Yeah. And what keeps you motivated then, Kath?
What keeps me motivated is the suffering in silence. I had a woman yesterday come to me her daughter died of gynecological complications, and now her other daughter, who's 14, is still having the same complications. But we had to fight for this mother's voice to be heard. So it's the women suffering in silence that keeps me driven, and the passion for women to have better knowledge. Yeah,
that's fabulous. If you had to start this again from scratch, what is it that you would do differently?
Well, there seems to be a lot of fear attached to gynecological health. I would be more confident within myself. I would question a lot more. I would embrace the knowledge instead of being fearful of it. I would go to people straight at the top, because I used to go to the women on the ground level and nudge my way through there. I'm not accepted. I would always just go straight to the top from now on, and that's what I do. Even this mother yesterday, I could see she was disempowered, but because she came to me, I went straight to the top, and I got action. But why can't she, as a powerful woman, get that same, and it just got to instill it in her mind. Okay.
So, which living person do you admire most, and why?
Well, Dr. Northrup in America, she is very forthright. She explains it. Sometimes I'm not very good explaining what it is I'm about, but Dr. Northrup has got it. She speaks to women clearly and concisely and honestly, and she has retreats, and, we talk about these things. And so I just admire her for what she does.
Yeah, and Kath, Kath, what would you say your distinctive qualities are?
Well,
passion,
I would suggest.
I would suggest passion's one of your distinctive qualities.
Well, unfortunately, my passion overrides myself somewhat, because sometimes that's an off-put because I am too passionate. So I have to try and curtail that in a sense. But I think that I'm honest, and I'm very determined that the voices will be heard, and get out of my way while I get there.
What 5 things could you not live without?
Well, my husband, to start off with, he's had to endure a lot, and he had 5 bypasses 2 years after my operation, so he's been there through the thick and the thin. But I know many men who've left the home because that, anyhow, I'm getting off the thing. And my family, I just love my family to bits, and my granddaughters and my friends, and but I couldn't live without the knowledge. If I didn't have this knowledge, I would be like the rest of a lot of the women who lack the power. And so I just think my knowledge is power.
Yes, yes. What's your favourite phrase?
Alone we sit, together we make a mighty roar, because all these women sit alone, and anyhow, alone we sit, together we make a mighty roar.
That's fabulous.
And knowledge is power.
Yeah, definitely. What top 3 tips would you give women in this situation?
You need to speak up and find the confidence to speak out. And when things are not right, you just don't take it. You know, you find somebody who will help you. You will go to the people at the top, and you won't stop until you get an answer. Because otherwise, it's not worth living if you don't get your answers in life. Another one is feel the fear and do it anyhow, because I have been very fearful over the years, but I still did it. I knew it was a health risk, but I still did it, and I feel much better for it today. And I've learnt that sharing is healing, because when we do share, then you offload a lot, and then you feel much better. So sharing is healing.
Fabulous. Kath, can you tell us a bit more about where we can find you, things that, you know, how we can organise for you to speak, any other services that you offer?
Yes, you can contact me through GAIN, Gynecological Awareness Information Network. It's www.gain.org.au, or my own website is www.kathmazzella.com. And what's the other question?
Just the services that you offer.
The other services I offer is, I'm not a counsellor and I'm not an educator, but I offer to sit around the table with a cup of coffee to just to be open and talk, to know that, you know, there is other avenues for you. I am willing to speak. I am a public speaker now, and I'm open to any areas to speak to men and women. I know I spoke at Probus once, and they said, thank you for speaking about something we usually try to avoid. And so it's just breaking that ground. But so I'm happy to speak anywhere and talk to anybody. I do have a workshop that I go out to communities and talk about how we can progress with this work.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your time, Kath. There'll actually be a link at the bottom of this interview with all of your contact details.
Okay.
It's such an important subject that is exactly as you said. Women won't talk about it. It seems to all be hidden away. So thank you again.
Now that you know about it, I want you to talk about this. Next time you're at a girly dinner or luncheon or whatever, I want you to talk about gun health, but I want you to have a look at the body language and have a look at how each person responds, because one will go, oh, that's interesting, and the other go, whoa, you know, it's like, oh. But just for your own sake, to understand how this sort of stuff works and how things can progress.
Kath.
That's okay. See you later.